Hi everybody, welcome back to Civics. The last couple of videos we've been talking about different things that the executive order can do, or the executive branch of government can do. And today we're going to start talking about what some things the judicial branch has done for our government. So we're going to do that by talking about some incredibly important Supreme Court cases that have kind of influenced the direction our government has gone in ways that has changed the course of our history. We're going to have a couple different videos of these. Each one is going to cover two important court cases. And then after we're done with the court cases, we're going to move on to stuff about elections and how those work. So to start off, we're going to start with the first case I have decided we're going to talk about is Marbury versus Madison, which I have talked about in another video, which a card should appear for right there when I talk about a judicial review. But if we'll talk about it again. Marbury versus Madison happened in 1803. And it's important because it established judicial review in the United States. So before 1803, there wasn't really any judicial review power. It wasn't written into the Constitution. This was a power that was taken by the Supreme Court in this specific case and has been allowed to continue since then. Basically what happened is President Adams appointed this guy named Marbury to be a justice for the peace when Adams had already lost the election. So he was no longer going to be president in a couple months. And so he just started appointing people to positions. Unfortunately, the commission for him to take that position never got delivered on time. And so by the time time passed and the new administration ran by Thomas Jefferson came in, and the new Secretary of State was, or the new secretary in charge of that was James Madison. And so Madison asked Jefferson, what should I do with this? And he said, don't deliver it. Just don't deliver this commission. Well, Marbury decided that that's not okay. Like, I was supposed to get this job. I had been picked for it. So he sued the administration. He sued James Madison in particular. And in the case, the Supreme Court made the ruling that Madison should have given Marbury the commission. He didn't have the legal right to not give it to him. However, then they went on to say that the law that allowed Marbury to sue the government in this instance was not constitutional because it gave the Supreme Court more jurisdiction than it was supposed to have. And then afterward, he goes on to say that it's within the court's right, because of the oath that justices take when they become Supreme Court members, to strike down laws that are unconstitutional. So anything that is passed by the government, any law that doesn't fit into the constitutionality written in the Constitution, the judiciary has the right to strike those laws down because they don't fit within the bounds of American law. And so the Chief Justice at the time, John Marshall, basically kind of wrote more authority into his position using this case. And he never gets called out on it. Nobody ever is like, you know what, actually doesn't say you could do this in the Constitution. So he basically gave the Supreme Court more authority, and that's not been challenged since then. So they still get to do it. They still do it. That's part of their authority now. The next case we're going to talk about in this video, or the last one, is McCulloch versus Maryland, and that occurred in 1819. And this one was important because it was able to define the scope of congressional power. Basically what happened was Maryland was trying to impede the Bank of the United States. They didn't like what the bank was doing, and so they passed a law that basically said that banks that were from out of state were going to be taxed at this like absorbent rate. And the only out-of-state bank in Maryland was the Bank of the United States. And so the court basically said that the Necessary and Proper Clause gives Congress the right to pass laws that are not explicitly given in the Constitution, right? So they're basically saying that Congress has more authority than the implied power, or than the powers given to them in the Constitution, which are called the implied powers. And then through Necessary and Proper, they're able to make things like the National Bank at the time And then it also basically then said that state governments can't really impede constitutional exercises of power by the federal government. So Congress was doing what it's allowed to do by making this bank, and therefore the state government can't pass a law that impedes the federal government from doing what it's supposed to be doing. So it can't tax this bank that's a federal bank, because it would be impeding the constitutional power of Congress. So really it was kind of defining, how federal law is supposed to be over state law, like we talked about earlier, and that Congress does have this power to make laws that aren't explicitly stated in the Constitution because of this necessary and proper clause. So that's a pretty important one. It's had repercussions moving forward. In the next video, we're going to be talking about 2 more Supreme Court cases, and for the next couple of videos afterwards. So stay tuned for those. Get excited to hear about more law. And we'll as we continue some civics. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day.